What's up, Guardians? Profane here. Thanks for checking out the video. Today we're taking a look at the LightBlade Master and Grandmaster Nightfall. The LightBlade is this week's featured Nightfall, and we'll be breaking down all of the tips, tricks, and workarounds that you'll need to utilize in order to easily and efficiently complete this week's Grandmaster or Master Nightfall, so that you can farm for this week's featured weapon, the MINDBENDE'S Ambition Shotgun, with Adept versions being available in Grandmaster only. Before we dive into today's video, if you end up enjoying and finding it helpful, then please be sure to help support the channel below by hitting that like button along with the subscribe button if you're new. Both are greatly appreciated. The LightBlade can be quite tricky to take on, especially on Grandmaster, a roaming boss with a monstrous stop mechanic, swarming moths everywhere, lucent hive that just don't want to stay dead, and an asinine amount of anti-barrier and unstoppable champions throughout this Nightfall. It can give even the calmest person anxiety, but there are several workarounds that will greatly improve your chances at surviving and overpowering the enemies that you'll face in the LightBlade. When it comes to the best subclasses and loadouts for this week's Nightfall, you'll find that Warlocks running stasis builds with Osmiomancy will be far more beneficial than a Well of Radiance ever could be. Hunters by far have the most critical role in this week's Nightfall, with Void Invisibility being absolutely clutch. Running Omnioculus with an Invis Spect build will greatly improve the survival rate of the entire team and will allow you to effortlessly cross the boat sequence and even cross the totem fields with ease. Arc Titans will be a blessing in the LightBlade, especially Thunder Crash. There's a lot of arc shielded knights, champions, and lucent hive that you'll want to go away fast, and Thunder Crash is exactly what's going to give you that ability, and it will also allow Titans to completely skip by the Totems Filled, allowing your team to easily cross. Since arc is the acute burn, arc weapons will be a big bonus, especially the Storm Chaser linear fusion, especially when it comes to DPS. And to that same effect, the Gallarhorn with a pair of hothead arc rocket launchers will be a great way for your team to dish out some insane DPS very quick. The Wishender, Arbalest, and Malfeasance will all be exceptionally powerful exotics to incorporate into your builds and will really help out against the champions. When the LightBlade begins, you'll be in a large courtyard. Once Alagul, the Dark Blade, spawns in, a few quick shots to the dome will send him away so that he doesn't terrorize your fire team as you take down these first sets of champions. You can skip this group of ads and head straight for the doorway, but in doing so, you will remove yourself from platinum level rewards at the end. But faster clears provide more opportunities in the long run. To that same token, there is an out of bounds glitch available in the next room of this Nightfall, which will allow you to skip some of the boat phase. On the grand scheme of things, I find it best that if you're running with a team to just stick together and leave the out of bounds glitch for speedruns and solo runs of master versions of the LightBlade. By any means, I do suggest to dip out of the courtyard once defeating the anti-barrier champions. Once you've left the courtyard and made your way into the first chamber of death, you'll have 3 lucent hive, several wizards, and anti-barrier champions that spawn in along with several rank and file ads. While it will help you to take out a few of these anti-barrier champions at the very get-go, you want to quickly retreat back to the narrow hallway and stay back towards the large bell, avoiding any void grenades that the lucent hive will throw. Staying back here will prevent the enemies from ganging up on you, while you easily pick them off without the threat of getting overwhelmed and wiping as the different waves spawn in. Once you've cleared 3 overall waves of enemies, you'll be on your way to a boat ride, which, as I mentioned before, you will have the ability of going out of the map while you're still in this first chamber. Otherwise, the boat ride will be Hunter's time to shine. Biting, of course, your team has one. If so, once your team has made it onto the boat, a Hunter, specced out with invisibility, can keep your team invisible the entire way through, all the way until you cross the barrier, which can really save you some lives and effort against these overpowered shriekers. If you lack the proper Hunter, you will want to jump off of the boat and stick to either the left or the right side walls and use the steps as cover as you slowly clear out the wizards. acolytes, and shriekers. If you're attempting this on Grandmaster, you should under no circumstance remain on the boat unless you can remain invisible. Once you've crossed the barrier, the boat will stop and Thrall will swarm all around you. Instead of standing on the boat, you'll want to jump off and jump onto one of the ledges on each side of the small room. This way you can avoid being smacked to death. Hunters will want to pop tether, and warlocks will want to toss down turrets. After the thrall have been cleared out, you're onto one of the most frustrating segments of this strike, the Totems Filled. There's a few ways you can approach this area. Titans can easily thunder crash around the field and land towards the end, clearing the waves of adds and removing the weight of darkness. With Eager Edge and various skating glitches, you can skate across the far left, skipping over top of the trees to get to the end, and Invis-Spec Hunters can provide your team with invisibility for the entire journey. But if none of these are an option, you'll need to do your best to hug the far right wall as you traverse through the field, skipping by the totems, keeping as much distance from you and the moths as you can because they will one-shot you. This also helps you keep more distance between you and the Screeps. Warlocks will really be able to help slow down the enemies through this long walk by dropping stasis turrets throughout to keep all of the Scorn at bay. After making it through the Totems Filled, you'll have a final set of champions, ogres and shriekers, to take down before you can head into the boss encounter. Stay in the overlook of the cave for this entire segment. It's far too risky to jump down and take on the enemies at that level, but from this distance you should be able to easily clear out the champions and shriekers without any loss lives. And then there is Alakul, the Darkblade, a unique boss who roams around the arena rather than remaining in a fixed spot, which can make it difficult to manage the adds and everything else when being chased by a boss. But nevertheless, there are some advantages that you have in this encounter. The first being the boss's roaming mechanic. This can be glitched out by keeping him in a perpetual state of jumping between the center platform and one of the side ledges. While one member of the team keeps the boss's aggro, the other two can stay from a distance unloading their heavy. Once the boss has taken a fourth of his overall damage, and every time he takes another quarter of overall damage, he will return to the center platform where knights, champions, and Lucent Hive will spawn in along with plenty of rank and file adds and a lot of arc shields. Boss will go immune and remain in the center platform. You'll find a lot of orbs on the first floor, but there will be plenty of cursed thrall as well. When these adds spawn in, this will be the time for supers, targeting the yellow bar enemies first, and knowing that these enemies spawn in at set thresholds will allow you to properly time your attacks so that you can have your super available and have your heavy before each wave of adds. After each of the waves of adds have been cleared, you can resume glitching out the boss's roaming mechanic by jumping back and forth between the center pillar and a side ledge. Once the boss's helmet comes completely off, he will become more aggressive, so you will really want to finish him off quickly. With that being said, if you get too overwhelmed with the boss or the adds, there are two things you can do to help your survivability. With the Royal Alignment exotic emote equipped, you can use the load-bearing walls on the bottom floor to emote at in order to glitch out of the map, becoming completely invisible to the enemies and the boss as long as your face is completely within the wall. Otherwise, while on the second story terrace, you can use the outstretched wall spikes that hang above your head to jump up to if things get hectic. Swords and glaives can both provide immense benefits in order to shield you from the boss's stomp mechanics, but in doing so puts you in some very risky territory. Whether you use swords and glaives or not, having concussive dampener and melee resistance mods will really help you out during this encounter. And with that, we've covered all the current workarounds, tips, and tricks that you'll be able to utilize this week to have far more success at speedruns, solo attempts, and Grandmaster runs of the LightBlade, so that you can get one of them fancy new Mindbender's ambitions with those new origin traits, and some pretty golf balls too. I wish you all the best in luck this week, especially for those of you out there hunting for your first or consecutive Conqueror titles. Let me know how your runs are going in the comments below, and let me know your thoughts on this new community event. Thank you as always for checking out the video. If you enjoyed and found it helpful, then please be sure to hit that like button below, along with the subscribe button if you're new. Both are greatly appreciated, and both really do help support the channel. If you're a new Light Guardian just starting your journey, or a battle-hardened veteran just looking for a new home, be sure to check out the Discord link in the description below and join one of the greatest communities in all of Destiny. And until next time, Guardians, this has been Profane, wishing you all some happy hunting.